If you're new in town or just new to this whole podcast thing, you're tuning in to Law by Night, the podcast that discusses all things vampiric with no fear of breaching the masquerade. In this episode, we conclude unravelling the mysteries surrounding the 5 lunar auspices as the Garou are born and experience their first change in Werewolf the Apocalypse. This episode will focus on the Ahroun Auspice.
You were born under a particular sign of the moon, as was your first change. Depending on who in the nation you ask, the moon in which you experienced your first change or were born defined your auspice. You have always felt the comfort of Luna, sister of Gaia, and valued her guidance, whether she shines fully on you or hides in darkness. The term auspice holds many meanings for the Garou. It encompasses their personality traits, attitudes, interests, and pack duties. Each auspice is significant and essential, as no werewolf can fulfill all roles. When a pack includes diverse auspices, it becomes stronger as a collective. Moreover, the inner rage of a werewolf also depends on their auspice. When young werewolves begin their training, they study with an elder of the same auspice to learn specific gifts and their roles in werewolf society. Your auspice is an obligation, not social groupings fit with stereotypes. Your ties to Luna are just as important to your loyalty to your pack and sept totem or patron. She defines your rage and reaffirms your place in the universe. It is the literal embodiment of the Garou continual change in existence. Auspices are mystical and spiritual, interwoven into your psychological makeup. Your duties to her are both formal and liberating, a profession and a mindset. There is nothing in the natural world that can be compared to it. Your auspice is as much as you are to it. Our spirit warriors are the beast incarnate, basking in the full glory of Luna's rays, illuminating their all-consuming rage. These Garou, born under the full moon, are of the Ahroun auspice. They show the greatest affinity to their animal brethren and make up the greatest of heroes of the Garou nation throughout the ages. War is the love and life of the Ahroun, and is often a task in of itself to keep them to stop killing. Ahroun Garou are the most destructive of Gaia's children and show no cowardice in battle, with many not fearing death. Why would they? Luna, in her full moon form, hides nothing, naked as a babe for all to see. Understandably, the young Ahrouns are far more plentiful in numbers than the old. Of course, if there was nothing more than bloodshed, we would need no need for such flailing beasts, but the Ahroun do have important roles within the nation. Like the Galliards, they inspire their people with their tact and physical prowess. The time for war has no need for stories of old. The Ahroun makes the ones to pass down to the future generations, leading the pack into battle through time the physical strife, providing the right tactics. They must protect their weaker packmates and be the last to fall, should it come to that. In short, their roles are more narrowly defined. They are the definition of Gaia's champions. I will add, just for your interest, that the rune of the waxing moon, that is the night before the true moon, are considered more straightforward and more fervent seekers of glory. Those of the waning moon are considered to be more concerned with asserting dominance. Hopefully, you have noticed 2 additional things can be assumed from the Ahroun Garou. They have the highest rage, making them the least sociable, particularly with humans, and the most prized form of renown to acquire is glory, followed by honor, with wisdom considered of the lesser importance to their sacred duties. Due to the quick obtainability of glory, Ahroun often rises in rank faster than others. However, their high mortality rates mean they seldom attain the highest ranks. Despite the generally high mortality rate amongst the Garou, Ahroun leads in this regard. Consequently, Elder Ahroun is a rare and truly awe-inspiring being. It is widely believed that Elder Ahroun is one of the most formidable creatures alive. Certain tribes, like the Silverfangs, bestow greater significance upon the Ahroun, reserving the title of king solely for them. Naturally, many Krynos-born Ahroun do not get the opportunity to shine as others might due to less nuanced outlooks on our society. Our function, our purpose is to protect Gaia. We are her warriors. This is why we were created. Before the rest of the auspices divided up the roles within the nation that would soon exist, there was only protector warriors. There is no singular or group of Garou who could be called the first Ahroun, because the first of the Ahroun were the first Garou. The other auspices defined how they differ from the Ahroun and their methods of projections. Theurges help us all understand what we fight for. Fedodox remind and enforce our true ways, whilst Ragabash and Galliard defend the emotional and spiritual qualities that Gaia values, which in turn we should too. Some do talk of the Ghost Council, the Uktena, and their middle brother, the Croatan, being Theurge-like and Fedodox-like offshoots to the Gale Stalkers, the Wendigo, but such thoughts are very much a minority opinion, as the Gale Stalkers are the younger brother. But to go back to the Ahroun as a whole, as the most ancient of auspices, the Ahroun have the most direct and literal interpretations of Gaia's original purpose for the Garou. Among sept positions, the ones they are most likely to be found are those within are the worm foe and the warder, but we all protect and we all fight. Some fight when only they need to, whilst others go at it all the time, but we all do it, sooner or later. No Garou will be spared of bloodshed, but the Ahroun are the warriors among the fighters. The Ahroun are devoted to battle, because it is their place. It is the most literal translation of the label I gave you at the beginning of the lesson: Spirit Warrior, Warriors for Gaia, Lunar, and the Wild. Yes, this has many facets across the spiritual, emotional, and psychological, covered by the other auspices, but the Ahroun is a physical element purifying the shit that walks the earth, which is spiritually enlightening in of itself. You may ponder on this if it refers to some of the other Garou, like the Black Spiral Dancers, outcasts and traitors known as Ronin, or the sacrilegious Skin Dancers, or Moon Dancers as some call them. Absolutely, but the Garou of Gaia, that is not the way of a spirit warrior. You are now consumed with greed, pride, and wrath, sinful things born from the human part of us all, shutting off the spiritual world. It often comes down to putting an end to things that cannot be fought at all, whether it is someone who cannot fight back or a traitor who needs to be put down. A Fedodox passes judgment and we carry out the execution, literal or otherwise, with or without the ceremony. Preferably, this is done without malice or ego, but it is a certain hardened individual to look into the soul of something riddled with fear or sorrow, knowing the end is moments away. But Gaia does not grant us the luxury of making tough decisions easy. Through times of war, these decisions come in the form of strategies and tactics, so stupidity is not something we should associate with the Ahroun. Being consumed by your higher amounts of rage warrants not one the mantle of stupid, but leaving the planning to the last minute is, so one has to plan efficiently or participate in the violent pre-celebrations beforehand if you belong to one of the warlike tribes such as my own, the Fenrir. We are all guilty of it, myself included. The Honourable Ahroun will listen to the elders and contribute when warranted. A warrior's wisdom, for it is not the average Ahroun to go into battle with a death wish, despite their high mortality rate. Far more victories are won by survivors than those who die, which may be a stupid comment to make, but consider how young cubs such as yourself are taught the only way to achieve high honor is by killing bigger and tougher foes. You don't do that, and you are ashamed of the nation. It is no wonder that Haranu is such a large concern than before, but it may surprise you that the Ahroun are the least likely to fall under it than any other auspices. It is their duty to survive, one of the highest. You endure all the shit that is thrown at you, with your actions inspiring the living. That victory is still a possibility by committing to our duties to our tribes, auspice, pack, and set, in no particular order. But if I am to be frank, the Garou are not the best leaders. You may gasp and stare at me, cub, but that is a minefield for another time. We are frequently blinded by our rage, and our biases obscure what is factually true. And in the different functions of the auspices in their efforts, it can be messy. The Ahroun coordinate all of this, making sure the skill set of the other auspices are applied efficiently and is there when a decision has to be made in the here and now. The Ahroun must step forward. When it's the Philodox or Galliard giving the commands, they should slip into their roles as foot soldiers of the front line with honor, as they serve something greater than themselves. And if your pack falters, you share their dishonor. Some may argue that Krynos-born Ahroun are the best definition of Garou spirit warrior, that they can channel their rage through their frustrations of their existence. The harsh criticisms of the Garou society they are raised from, but you understand this instant come, that no pupil of mine will harbour such Fomori piss. Lunar blessed us with the rage to the Garou. It is a curse, yes, but it is also a tool, not an excuse to throw tantrums and shit the bed. It is not surface level angst. It is not uncontrollable, but embedded within the fucking soul. You blame the destruction of an elder's kinfolk on you not controlling your rage will garner you no sympathy, and everyone will know you is weak. And more insightful Garou will know that feeling that you are too. Your rage is a hate-filled passion felt within your heart. The Ahroun are conduits of hate, hate directed at the worm and weaver, and all the spawn it shits out. And where does hate gives us? Purpose, and something most humans can only dream of. It may be of little surprise that many Ahroun have violent first changes brought on by intense feelings or what may feel intense at the time, but it may add some comfort that if it summarizes your first change, Homid, lupus are no different either. Wolves born under the full moon tend to be larger than their siblings. They quickly establish dominance within the litter by greeting adults first, eating first, and looking out for the others. Similar to the Galliards, future Ahrouns have different opinions on whether to leave or stay with their packs. Those who depart usually do so because they prefer not to be part of the pack hierarchy, knowing they are above it, but realize usurping one of their parents would be pointless. Those who stay acknowledge their parents' dominance and concentrate on protecting the pack. Lupus Ahroun understand their purpose to fight and protect. They never feel the need to find their places in life, even as wolves. Unless a higher ranked Ahroun leads the pack, a lupus will insist on leading any attack. If resisted, they will challenge the opposition and relent only if they lose the challenge. Lupus rarely hold personal grudges, especially against their own packmates. They let the actions and consequences of the leaders speak for themselves. This should hopefully remove the idea that a lupus Ahroun is a rampaging, snarly, wolf-tearing human apart with no mercy. They're warriors, the primary hunters and killers, but they are anything but mindless. They attack deliberately, with better control over their emotions than many other moons. Wolf Ahrouns are masters of pack tactics, naturally knowing exactly where everyone needs to be and what everyone should do. Despite this, they must fight against the stereotype of being thought as mindless attack dogs, which is immensely frustrating, as I'm sure you can imagine. The rite of passage for the Ahroun should not surprise you either, as there is little deviation from tribe to tribe. You take out a chosen worm spawn, Fomori, Bane, etc., which only becomes a horrifying thought when you stop to consider the challenger is often a teenager or someone in their early 20s who has just endured the literal gutting of a relative or loved one, being put up against, for all intents and purposes, a monster, with a bunch of strangers cheering you on. Now, if you're lucky, you'll know what the worm is, and yet, at the same time, it'll be the first time that an Ahroun would find acceptance. Remember, the auspices are of the soul. Regarding the other auspices, the Ahroun are easily triggered by the ways of the Ragabash, not one for social games or the tricks the Ragabash perform to challenge tradition. Their rage and their ways are often confused with bloated egos, which many of them do, of course. At opposite ends of the lunar cycle, they don't really understand the handing of rates between each other and how they control their own. To that end, the Ragabash do make useful, stealthy tactical weapons, but are also the largest aid for an Ahroun on the verge of succumbing to Hirano. Fierges represent everything the Ahroun fight for, the other spiritual warrior, as it were. When the Ahroun remember to keep their heads on, the shamanic whispers of the Fierge serve their roles well, but it is most likely the Fierges who will be most shocked at the destruction of the Ahroun, as Fierges are more pro-life than the other auspices. That isn't to say the Ahroun are not traumatized by their own violence, but the Ahroun deal with it themselves their own way. The two auspices can clash. Sometimes. The Philodox can understand the Ahroun better through their shared relationship of leadership roles and the elevated rage, even if it is less than the Ahroun overall. We have discussed already how the wise Ahroun in a leadership role will adopt the Philodox as an advisor, for they have the clarity in their vision where the Ahroun do not, as frequently as they would like. The Philodox will be the only auspice to say this openly, to their face. They have to, otherwise many will die through rage-induced foolishness. The Ahroun understand and appreciate the Galliards too, for they will sing the songs and tell the stories of the Ahroun that fought and died for honor and glory, passing on the wisdom of their failings for future generations to learn from. Of course, many Ahroun are only in it for the glory and may bicker with the Galliard and how they are represented or portrayed, which I think is the most suitable word for it. The Galliard can do plenty to nullify their ego and truth. They are both passionate and are most likely to connect in some degree of friendship. You also would know that as a Galliard, my rage is closer, if not on par, with an Ahroun at times, making us the backup Ahroun on more than one occasion. It brings them some respite on more than one occasion. We have to understand them a lot more than the other auspices, or at least the rage they harbour, and we offer the sworded tongue to the actual sword. The frontline warriors in the war against the worm, the Ahroun, do not shirk from battle. No. They seek it out. They crave it. Not necessarily bloodlust, although the Garou nation does contain quite a few who fit that description, and not all of those are full moons. The truth of the matter is that boiled down to its truest, purest essence, these werewolves crave the competition. Battle is a true test of self, of skill, strength, speed, toughness, and perhaps most of all, self-control. By pushing themselves in combat, an Ahroun knows their limit, more to the point, both how and when they can push past them. By finding their boundaries and finding proper ways to exceed them, they win a skirmish sprint while saving themselves for the war's marathon. Because of this, the Four Moons believe they know better themselves than any other auspice. How can they not? After all, by finding themselves on the battlefield and measuring their qualities against their foes in the ultimate test, it's an easy deduction to make.
To be kept updated, follow the Law by Night VTM Instagram and Blue Sky pages to find out when we upload each episode. You can also find out by subscribing to the YouTube channel and clicking on the little bell, as you'll be immediately notified when the latest episode is live. Until next time, farewell.